instill in our children. These are some of the things we need to instill in our children so that we are able to make them independent when the need arises. Reasons why financial literacy is important to everybody. Here I've put in down some seven reasons, but there's so many of them. If for nothing at all, to ensure that for me, it is more important when you are no longer strong, when you are at home, when all those other monies are not coming in, and when you can't get out there. For me, that is all that there is to financial literacy. So financial literacy is a serious matter in this digital age. It shouldn't just be taught in school, but should actually be taught at home. When parents learn it, we should actually teach our children how to manage their finances. In my house, almost every kid has a susu box, and almost every teenager would have money once a week. I give you money on Monday, you need to manage it until Friday. This is how you teach them how to manage their monies. And surprisingly, all of us have done that until the advent of mobile money. Those of us who were in boarding schools were given monies, and it will have to last you for at least 6 weeks before you come on meeting. Unconsciously, this is when we started to learn how to manage finances. So financial literacy helps us to understand the value of money so we can handle our finances better. As for the money, as long as we work, they say get out there and work. When you work, the money will come. But when the money comes, what you do with it is the most important thing that financial literacy teaches you. Being financially literate would teach us the importance of budgeting and saving. For those of us who, even not just those of us who earn monthly income, but it's more important for those of us who earn monthly income, especially when you are in a position where the money comes once a month. And the example that comes to mind easily is the suburban or the rural teacher in the basic schools. Apart from the salary, the money doesn't come from anywhere. Others who work in places such as the banks as tellers or the ministries, people come in and dash you money on a regular basis, but you shouldn't actually use that as a yardstick, because eventually you'll be moved from where the people will come and see you and even dash you all those monies on a daily basis. Then what happens to you? It then falls back to your original money, which is the income you earn. Financial literacy saves us from acquiring too much debt. I go back to what I said about our mothers and sisters, especially in Azongo communities, where we keep buying on debt, on credits over and over and over again because it is easier to manage. When we have such, then we will know that it is not everything that is sold on credit that is beneficial to us. If you can't afford it and it is not a necessity, sometimes with financial management, you know that then you shouldn't acquire it. Financial literacy also allows us to impact knowledge on financial literacy to the young ones. Like I said, if you do not involve everybody in financial literacy, the people close to you will come and disturb your planning. You might not have planned for them, but you would not have any choice but to dole out the cash that you had saved for something else on them. That is why it is crucial for everybody to be financially literate. Financial literacy helps us prepare better during times of emergency. If you know what financial literacy means and you're applying the skills of financial literacy, then you should have known that there should be money set aside for emergencies. And I often say it is easier when I need 10,000 from you. I come to you and I said, I have scouted my account and I've been able to get 3,000. I need a top up. It makes more sense than to say that I need 10,000 and there's nothing I can do and I have no money left. It just shows how irresponsible you are to the person you are asking the money from. It also enlightens us to invest and create streams of income. And anytime I meet a group of workers, I say that at every office that you find yourself, at every environment you find yourself in the market, wherever, try to find 3 to 5 people and do some sort of rotational susu with them. whether it is 5 cedis every day or 10 cedis every day or 50 cedis every day, so that at the end of the period that you decide for yourselves, you are able to get that money. When you get that money, try and save it, because if you took it first, second, or third, all the money is not yours yet. Somebody's money is in it. But this would encourage you to save towards certain things that would come your way. Financial literacy gives us the opportunity to help boost our own country's economy. I think I spoke about shares. I spoke about stocks and other things. Let's move away from there and even go into our own environment. Sometimes you see that somebody bakes bread. You can actually just invest in that if you trust the person that much. Invest in it, and whilst you sleep, the person will be baking the bread, and then you will be sharing the profits in whatever agreement that you've had with the person. If you are able to support the bread baker, he or she is able to now bake more, and so will require more hands. So indirectly, you're actually creating job for the people who do not have jobs. And financial literacy gives us the privilege to help the less fortunate. If you're planning your money, you plan it such that you know God allowed you the opportunity to earn the money. So I say you pay God first for every money that you get. In Islam, we call it zakah. Or if it is beyond zakah, we can have sadaqah. And trust me, sometimes if you are able to do these things to families in our environment, we help distribute to the people who otherwise wouldn't have had anything to live by. So here I talk about thinking of zakah, thinking of Sadaqah Trust, Zakah and Sadaqah Trust Fund of Ghana. And I think on Tuesday or Wednesday, they had the launch of their website, and they have a short code which says *789*2#, where they are encouraging you to donate at least 1 cedi a day to the cause of helping our communities and also reducing the burden of the poor. So far, any more? It looks like my team will not respond. Okay, so then, so far, any more? Any question? Or I can continue to go on. Okay, so silence means yes here. So we come to the fundamental components of what financial literacy is. And like I said, I know how much I earn. I earn 1,000 cedis, and that is what comes into my coffers every month. So when I am planning, I plan with 1,000 cedis. And to know how to plan and be within your 1,000 cedis, it calls for budgeting. That is the basics. That is the basic thing you can do. You don't need any sophisticated software to plan this. But the basic thing I keep saying is that you pay God, and Warren Buffett will tell you, save after, spend after you have saved, instead of spending and then thinking that something will be left. The money will never be enough for all the things that we have to do. That is why it is more important to save before you start spending. So budgets. There are 5 main sources and uses for money that determine a budget. Number 1 is your income, your spending, your investing, your savings, and your giving away. And for me, it is giving away, saving or investing, and then spending in that order. Creating the right balance through all the primary uses of money allows individuals to better allocate their incomes to very necessary things and leaving a few for the things that we want but not necessary. So then we come down to what it means to save and or invest. To become financially literate, an individual must learn about the key components in regards to savings and investments. Some of the components that should be learned to ensure favorable investments are interest rates, prices, and this is in the case of Ghana. diversification, and risk mitigation. These are very important so that when you have money, greed doesn't take a greater part of you for you to be looking at somebody who says, I'll give you returns of 10% a month. In all honesty, what work would we be doing genuinely that will earn us 10% a month? It is almost impossible. And so for majority of people who are duped by those scam companies, you go down it, and part of the reasons people go there is because of greed. But greed is only short-lived. The results of greed is only short-lived. It cannot take you far into the future. Number 3, borrowing. Again, I come back to our women. Even though some men are also into the same thing, but I think majority of it have to do with the women. Don't just borrow. If you necessarily have to borrow, borrow, but don't just borrow. And when it comes to borrowing, especially where we are in Ghana, sometimes we borrow from the banks. I tell people, go straight to your Excel sheets. There's something we call loan amortization. Just key in all your loans and every interest rate and the duration and everything. And that is where you see the magic of compound interest and interest rates. Most banks will take barely 30 to 40% of your disposable income. But you realize that when you add just 5 or 10% of that same income to defray your loan, sometimes it can cut it down to a third of the period and a third of the interest that you have to pay. So these are things that you need to learn on your own to ensure that if you necessarily have to take the loan, you do not just burden yourself with it and the jargons that the banks will give you. When it comes to taxation, you must understand, if I need to buy tomatoes and I buy it from the woman in the market or on the highway, I have evaded tax. I have not stolen anybody's money. But that same tomatoes, if I go to buy it at ShopRite, I should know that tax is going to be on it. So knowing about the tax system in our environment also come to help when we have to manage our finances. And to sum it all up is a personal financial management. The most important criteria of personal financial management includes an entire mix of all the components that we've listed above. Financial security is ensured by balancing the mix of financial components above to solidify and increase investment and savings while reducing borrowing and debt. Achieving an in-depth knowledge of the financial components discussed above guarantees an increase in an individual's financial literacy. So within the budgets that we have, it's all sums up to 100% anyway, but what goes into the 100% depends on an individual's choices and preferences. But in whatever way we do it, and in whatever condition or circumstances that we have, these are some of the things that you are the only architect of how your money is managed whilst you go along. So why financial literacy? Obtaining financial literacy is one of the most important things an individual can do to ensure prolonged financial stability. Listed below are some real-world facts that should emphasize the overall importance of attaining financial literacy. It is estimated that over 78% of employees worldwide live from paycheck to paycheck, and I don't think it is any different when you come to Ghana. And when you go to the advanced countries, more than 80% of the people there live on credits. And this is just killing them, but they do not know because the system is so flexible that they can get you neck deep in debt without actually feeling it. Of course, we are not so fortunate there like that in Ghana, but it is coming. I know I use a Barclays credit, APSA credit card, but I'm very careful because some of the portals I go to make payments on will not accept debit cards. It's either PayPal or credit card. But I make sure that I have the money. I use a credit card to pay and immediately transfer the money onto the credit card to cancel it. So if you are not able to manage your credit cards, you're going to get neck deep unconsciously in debt. and that will go a long way to affect not only you, but the people in your inner circles. On average, in abroad, credit card owners owe about 4 each. And on all of them, there are limits, and all of them, they have exceeded the limit and only pay the minimum. This statistics depicted above should illuminate why financial literacy is paramount in today's financial climate. So what are the benefits of learning financial literacy? A few here, but I think that after speaking for close to 15 minutes, you would have known some of the importance already. Financial literacy gives us the ability to make better financial decisions. It's an effective way of creating a structured fit for purpose budget, effective management of money and debt, giving us a greater equipped to reach financial goals, the reduction of expenses through better regulation, and this one, cutting off all unnecessary expenses. It gives us less financial stress and anxiety, because by the time the emergency comes, as I said earlier, you would have prepared for the emergency, and it would not actually be an emergency. It will be one of the things that come to us in life. And it increases in ethical decision making, and I am emphasizing on ethical. When you are prepared for some of these things, you will not be forced to cut corners to get things done. With selecting insurance, loans, investment, and using a credit card. Making steps to becoming financially literate is an important component of life that can ensure financial solidity, reduce anxiety, and stimulate the achievement of financial goals. So far, do we have anything? Okay, so these are the few steps to setting clear financial goals. So be clear about your objectives. Like I said, yours might be different from mine. And I'll take a typical example of somebody who has just finished school and secured a job, but still living with mom and dad. Their financial goals will be different from another person, from mom and dad, who would have to pay rent, who will have to take cater for the house, pay utilities and everything, and also cater for the grown-up child who is still living at home. They are two different things. And you must keep your goals realistic. To be able to achieve it, they must be very, very realistic. I work in an organization. I am paid 5,000 cedis a month. I put 10% for myself, which is 500 cedis. And I put, say, about 2,000 towards buying a car. I shouldn't go telling myself I'm going to buy a Bugatti. All I need is a means of transport. And so between buying a Bugatti and buying a Kia Picanto, which one would my 2,000 savings realistically be able to buy? And account for inflation. I remember very well during 2007 when our money was devalued by 10,000. The cedi was higher than the dollar. Barely 15, 16, barely 13, 14 years down the line, 15 years now, the dollar is almost at 6.5. And so if you had money at that time and you did not manage it well or invest it well, you might have, and just kept it in your room, you might have lost so much value when you convert it back to the dollar. And you should know your objectives, whether they are short-term or long-term. I spoke about buying a car as against buying a suit or buying a dress for that occasion. You should know how to manage the two, which one is long-term and which is short-term. And most of the things that we spend money on, we can actually plan for them if we really want to. I have made it a policy that when I go to the shop to buy, if the item is not on my list, I keep it in mind. It goes onto the list. If I really need it, it goes onto the list the next month. But unless it is something that I really, really need, I do not buy. Of course, except when I have to buy a candy or chocolate or something, which will not change my budget that much. but whatever money I take on the whatever list I go, that's what I go with. So you should keep all those things in mind when you're planning. When you're planning to buy a fridge, unless it is very, very crucial, you should actually take time to save for it. When you want to buy a car, unless it is crucial, you should take your time to save towards it. Same thing with a house. By now, you should be ready with your list of financial goals, I guess. So now is the time to go all out and achieve them. I say that the best time to have saved was yesterday, but the next best time is today. So it is still not too late. We can still go back there and put our house in order when it comes to finances. So these are some basic rules when it comes to finances. Now we are going into the practicality of it. I've said that you need to pay the less privileged. I've said that you need to do a few things, but here I am going to go into the details of what I mean. So I say if you're spending more than 60% of your regular income on your lifetime needs, then you're probably overspending. What it means is that by all means, save at least 30% of your income on something. By all means, it is beneficial to go beyond the 30%, but to go below it is almost suicidal. And I say 30% because I am also keeping some 10% somewhere for charity or for sadaqah or for zakah or for everything that I need to pay God with. Again, if your rent or accommodation expenses is more than 30% of your regular income, then you probably need to start relocating. And that 30% is coming from the 60%. So if you're spending half of your disposable income on rent, then how are you living? Because then add all other expenses, your food, your utilities, and everything coming. There is no point earning as a normal, as a basic school teacher, earning 1,200 cedis to spend 400 cedis or 300 cedis on rent. You're not in competition with anybody. So do what your pockets can accommodate. If TNT or fuel and car maintenance or anything to do with your commuting is more than 15% of your regular income, again, you should rethink your means of transportation. And again, it is an individual thing. Everybody is in a different situation of their own. So when your income increases, think more of increasing your savings and not your spending. Again, if you're earning 1,000 cedis and by dint of luck, now your salary has increased to 1,500, your situation hasn't really changed that much. Even if it moves from 1,000 to 2,000, it doesn't automatically take you from Medina to Trasako. So why don't you just still manage your Medina accommodation and then use the extra income that has come to plan for something better for the future? And the fact that now your income has increased from 1,000 to 2,000, if you are taking your trotro regularly, now you say you don't need trotro, you don't need so many people in a car, so you're going for Uber. No, it doesn't change anything. It still takes you from home to work and work to home. And for those of us on regular income salaries, I say that for every year of work you do, try to have 1 month's income in savings or in investments. And this is very important because nobody has a job for life. Anything can happen. If they don't sack you, you can fall sick, an accident might happen, anything can happen. And when those things happen, you should have been prepared for a number of months to keep your dignity by not begging until Allah opens another door for you. And finally, number 6, most often with whatever level of income, we are able to satisfy our needs. Whether it is 400 cedis a month, 1,000 cedis a month, 10,000 a month, or even more, we are able to manage that to satisfy our needs. But we are not able to satisfy our greed. When you are greedy, whatever comes into your hands, you are still looking for more and more and more until you are caught and disgraced. So greed is a disease. Treat it with all seriousness, and let's all eschew it. Now I come to how this is the basic mathematics of how to manage your finances from what I said earlier. Like I said, anytime you get money, you know that other people's money have come to you. So take some 10% and do some good with the money that has come to you. I think the prophet somewhere said that when you pay zakah, you are actually washing and cleaning your wealth. And this is something very important, and all of us must, as a necessity, anytime we have money, think about the less fortunate in society. The next one I come to is when I say save before you spend. Save 10% for you. And this is the 10% I'm talking about, that for every year of income you have earned, you should have 1 month's salary in savings. This is what I am talking about. By the time you have saved some percent for a year, you would have actually have 120% of your income, 20% more. But hey, that is money that you should save strictly and strictly for you. Keep it just for you, so that in case you need something, in case something comes up, you can use that money. But that should be a lender of last resort. That is when you've exhausted all the other monies that you have. Number 2 is to cater for your nuclear family. Put money aside, 10% every month for your nuclear family. And that, by that, I mean your spouse and your children, just them. This is where you can put some money aside for the children's school fees. Even if the children are paying 1,000 cedis a term, when you put in 100 cedis per child, when you put 100 cedis per child per month, by the time school vacates and open, you would have had those funds sitting there, and then your children will not have to be embarrassed in school. When that sickness comes, you would have had that money sitting there, and then you wouldn't have to go begging everybody to save your child or yourself or your spouse. None of us is an island. So every single one of us come from a family, and we are encircled with friends. We have to keep this money so that when those emergencies from our external families come, we are able to support. I take this to include our wedding contribution, our funeral contribution, our party contributions, and other things. And they don't come very often. But as and when they come, we would have been prepared for it. And this money, again, could be used to solve other problems. But for now, we are keeping it so that in case those invitations and other things come, then we put it there. Now we've taken 40% of the money. 60% goes into everything else. And that includes your rents, that includes your utilities, your transportation, everything. And again, every individual is different. But when you have saved this 30% and paid God the 10%, at least you are way in a lead, ahead to a better future than if you had not. And when you take 40% of your 1,000 cedi salary and have to stretch to live on 600, the other party who hasn't done that and is living on the entire 1,000, their life is not any much better than yours. The difference is that you have a backup and they don't. And it is always better to have a backup. So I give you my brother's budget, how he has translated this slide. This is how he's translated it. He's doing the 10% charity. He's doing 20% investment because he's a young chap. He just got married and had a child. but he is able to put 20% there. And if he's able to continue with this in the next 10-15 years, this is going to be so much money. And when he needs money to cater for the child's college and everything, then he can go in there. He still needs to do further his education and other things, so he's keeping another 10% for his education and those of the kids that he's going to bear. The kids hadn't come, but he had started this some 5-6 years ago. So which means he's planning into the future. He's spending 45% of his money on lifetime necessities, which gives him more room to increase his investments and to even put in the education bets. And in Accra, it is common to have Friday nights or Saturday evenings. I mean, attire joints here, the mosque after Isha and other things. Put some money aside for the monies that you need to spend. Don't let it affect the other incomes that you have. And then we have 10% for spending. This spending, as he puts it, you know, because we all come from large families, nephews and nieces, cousins will come around, especially during holidays or weekends, to be taken to Accra, the Accra Mall or something. So you already save some money for them, so that when they come and you have to do the KFCs, which a bowl will cost you 30 cedis or 40 cedis, it doesn't affect the rest of your income. When they don't come, the money is sitting there. So this is my own. I am privileged to have done this for over 20 years. And so now I am able to save. My hobby is traveling, so I'm able to save income towards travel. So when you see me traveling, it's not that I have gone to take money from somewhere. I'm just taking it from the money I planned a year or two ago to be able to do the travel. So when I compare it with you who have to go to the bank to take a facility to go and travel, what would our enjoyment level be? I put 25% of my income in savings now because I have crossed a certain barrier. I work for a company that will give me free transportation and free accommodation. So I do not need to pay rent or pay TNC. Your situation might be different. And that is where financial literacy becomes a personal thing. I spend 30% on lifetime necessities because I have decided as a person to cut down on all unnecessary expenses. If I don't need it, it doesn't stay in my house. If I don't need it, it is dashed out. And if I dash those things out, I do not go back to come and accumulate them again, only for me to dash them out later. So if I don't need it, I don't buy it. I remember in 2018, I went for a course in China and it was an African something. We had this chaps from Uganda. We went to the African market, they call it the fake market. And people were just buying and buying and buying. People actually bought suitcases and filled them up. I was just looking at them. All I was buying were souvenirs. I mean, the fridge, magnets, key holders, and other things. So they asked my other colleagues, are you sure Hajia is not having financial challenges? And they said, no, that is how she is. The mere fact that the whole market was flooded with everything did not encourage me to just go and buy things I know very well that when I come home, I'll have no use for them. So that is how disciplined you can become when you're financially literate. And I have done that on most of the trips that I have in the office. I'll go with everything I need and come back with the same suitcase I went with. Hardly do I go SS when I get to the airport. I won't, because there is no way I'll buy the things I don't need. Again, I'm putting 5% down for if we have to have some social in the office or at home or something. And 10% I put it for family and friends, because I belong to a large family and I have been in so many places. when it comes to school, when it comes to mosque, when it comes to neighborhoods, that I need to keep this money sitting there just in case an unexpected invitation comes up. So now, to all of us here listening, what is your game plan? All of us must necessarily have one to be financially independent. What is it? What is our plan? I have stated mine. I've stated somebody I knows. Now, the ball is in your court. What is yours? And like I said, it is only you who knows how to do this, not even your spouse, not even your closest friend, not your parents. It's a matter between you, yourself. As I will say, it is a matter between me, myself, and I, just me and my God, of course. So that is it. We are done. But before we leave, and I saw these links, very beneficial when it comes to financial literacy. So beyond gaining knowledge through what we are doing now, there is also assessment of tools. If you don't take anything away from this lecture, at least take one or two of these links and then go and learn further. Models, online models that can increase an individual's financial literacy. Listed below are some tools an individual can use to increase them. And most of these are free and they are on our phones. So we do not have an excuse that we didn't have time to go to the library or to go to the comm center. Echo EdLink is an online financial lesson for kids. Money Smart also have podcasts, lesson plans, and games that can increase your financial literacy. Money Wise is in partnership with Capital One, I think is a Canadian company. And they teach financial literacy in many languages. So you are not limited to just English if English is not your thing. And then we have In Charge, which puts you in charge of your finances. And they provide a lot of educational ebooks for this purpose. Any of the options above provides beneficial financial knowledge that should be pursued if an individual wishes to grow their financial literacy. You can also contact me if you have any questions. So, Alhamdulillah, we are done. And I thank you very much for your time and for your attention. So I will stop here for questions and comments. Thank you. Hello?
Yeah, hello. MashaAllah. Alaikum salam.
Yes. So I'm done.
Thank you very much, Hajia, for the wonderful presentation. Hajia has finished your presentation. Please, if you have any question or comments, you can bring it up and I'm sure Hajia will answer it, inshallah. Thank you. So if you have a question, you can raise up your hand and we'll call you to ask your question.
So we have two hands up, Brother Sharif, Brother Gabi. So you ask the questions with Sharif.
Hello, Hajia. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Wa alaikum salam, my brother.
Thank you so much for this enlightening lecture. It has really opened my eyes. But I have some few questions. I won't ask all at once. I want to find out from you regarding the that you've shared concerning how you fractionate your income and then do your spending. Do you have separate accounts for each of the things you've itemized? Because I'm trying to picture how you're able to more or less determine that, okay, this is the amount that must be spent within this month at any particular time without crossing over to what you have already saved, more or less. So do you have separate accounts where you more or less distribute these various percentages in so that you not overspend beyond a particular one? That's what I want to find out. And the second is, you said that it would be fruitful for individuals to more or less save towards their pensions and blah, blah, and maybe putting certain amounts down for their children and all that. Will you consider the practice of putting money in insurance, like an educational plan over a maybe 10-year period or something, so it matures? And then
Hello. Hello, Brother Sharif.
hello?
Yes.
It seems to
Yes.
You are okay.
You are up again.
Oh, okay. My line went off. Oh, subhanallah.
Yes.
I was just talking. Okay. So I didn't realize.
So
it.
you spoke about the insurance.
Yes. So
Okay.
so basically, yeah. So I want to find out whether putting money down as a form of insurance, like for your children and then yourself to maturity over a certain period of time, will you consider it as a form of investment, a relevant one, or you would advise against it?
Okay.
And then the second one the first one had to do with whether you have separate accounts for the various
Okay.
percentages that you've talked about. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So let me come first to the separate accounts. Let me go back to this, as I said. Okay, so with this, it is very beneficial to have separate accounts. Normally, I would advise separate savings accounts for the self, the nuclear family, and the extended family, just so that you do not have so many accounts, at least a minimum of 3, then you will know how to allocate the rest that you need to do when the need arises. And to be able to be successful at this, the only way out, or the most sure way out, is to have a standing order on your accounts. So that at the end of the month, when I used to work in the bank, we used to be paid on the 24th. All my standing orders were on the 25th. So on the 25th, when the monies had been taken out, whatever is left, I was free to spend. On these savings accounts, again, do not have a credit or debit card on them. Do not have alerts on them. Just the standing order from your main salary account, which normally will be a current account and will have charges on them. Most of these banks now give you savings accounts without any charge. And so have these savings accounts. Do not bother about how much is been accumulated in there. Only go in there when you really need to go there. And that is the one sure way of accumulating income. No cards on them, no passbook on them, no alert on them. Then the monies would just be deducted into them as and when your money goes into your current account through a standing order. If you do not have the standing order and you have to physically put the monies there are months that you will not have the convenience of going to put the monies there for so many reasons. You might have been out of town, you might have been sick, you might have extra expenses that came along the way. And so it becomes difficult to leave some of the money on your hands to go there. So to be successful at this, one sure way is to have standing order and to have separate accounts so you do not mix up the monies. But of course, like I say, if you are a young person who just finished school and still living with mom and dad, not married, and you are all by yourself, you can actually do all this 30% in one account, just one account. You just keep accumulating the money there. Once you marry, then you can create the second account. And once you marry, now you are qualified to sit on the table of men and women. Then you should know that the extended family and friend thing come in. then you can create that account. And so just so also that you do not struggle yourself so much, I hope that you have started already, but if you haven't, just do it one step at a time, one account at a time. And when you are comfortable with it, then you do the second one, and then you do the third one. You can actually have more. If you have other things, like I said, if you really need to buy a house, then you do not want to add that money to any of the, and you don't want to add that money to any of the three, then you have to open another account again. But just so you do not have so many accounts, just the basic 1, 2, or 3 should be enough. But the money that you're looking for yourself, it is very advisable that you separate it from all other expenses that all other savings that you have, so you don't mix it up. And number 2 is educational insurance. I would advise that you go for those ones. There are some lifetime needs, there are some educational insurances. There's a car insurance, there's a house insurance. Apart from that, there are so many other products that will give you a leeway when the need arises. If it is not so much on you, go for it. After all, with the insurance, if nothing happens to you, you gain nothing. I know that Islamically it is wrong, but we are talking about reality here, living in Ghana. So if you can, it is better to be prepared, like I keep on saying, than to be hit with an emergency you are not prepared for. If you can, go ahead and do those ones as well.
All right, thank you so much.
I hope I answered your question well.
Perfectly. Thank you. All right.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, Gabby.
Yeah, so I'll start by saying thank you very much for this. I started learning about this finance thing years ago. And so when I saw it, I was so happy. My worry is that when we start off, we realize that in Ghana here, we don't have access to any of this information. No books written by Ghanaians. So you end up reading books which are written by Americans, Europeans, which have no practical reality in our settings here, how things are organized here. So my question is that, do you have in terms of books that is coming up that some of the young guys can get, so that we can get, a real life experience that relates to us? That's my first question. And then my second question is that I like to be an entrepreneur rather than to take a regular job. But I realize it's also very difficult. Okay, which advice will you give to us as young people? Most of my friends are in that circle. How can we navigate through this situation and also have our finances right?
If you can give me your second question again.
Yeah, so I prefer to be an entrepreneur.
Okay.
To try to do my own thing, as opposed to get a regular job where I'll be paid.
Okay.
And it's not straightforward like that. It's quite difficult.
Yeah.
So my question is there any advice for us, those of us who are taking that lane, how we can be able to navigate so that we have our finances right and not get ourselves stuck?
Okay.
And finally,
all right.
Is there a way marriage help young people to save money or live better finance than? Because I'm asking because I was told, well, if you marry, your spouse will help you with some of the expenses, you get double salary or this. So I just want your opinion on that based on your experience. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Gabi. And I think I will tie yours in with the message I saw on the chat. I think somebody was asking if in instance, going for a loan to do business, one can join a reliable SUSU group, and when money collected, one can start business and then apply the golden rule to help succeed. I'm not getting it well, but I think it's about combining resources to start a business. So let me start with the books. There are so many so many resources online, my brother, you have no idea. You just go there and type in financial literacy. It is all over. Sometimes we do not need to go and sit in a classroom for 3 months, 6 months to learn some of these things. Just a little podcast, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here. I've made it a duty to Google financial literacy and either watch video or read ebooks online almost every day, just to keep me abreast with the things that are going on. I think somebody is making a lot of noise.
Okay, let me check my mute.
Okay, thank you, Gabby. So the resources are there. I haven't planned to write a book in any time soon, with at least I am sure not within the next 3 to 5 years. But I can assure you that the resources are there in abundance on the internet and you can get them. So please do well. Instead of spending all the time, even on Facebook, you can find it, but don't spend it on all the Kweku Chase videos. There are some other videos that you can get to get a financial literacy thing going. When it comes to entrepreneurship, the thing that kills entrepreneurs faster than anything is poor records keeping. So if you are an entrepreneur, immediately you set up your mind to become an entrepreneur, your first duty, your first point of call should be record keeping. And by record keeping, to make it easier, you would have your sales book, you have your purchases book, you have your expenses book and all that. Just these 3 is enough for a startup, so that you can keep track of of your business and the progress that it is going through. Again, if it is business you're doing, then the money ceases to be your money. It then becomes the business's money. And I would advise any entrepreneur or upcoming entrepreneur, for every money that comes in the name of the business, it must first pass through the bank. Even if you are investing in it, you are starting to invest. So those of us who were in secondary school and did some little accounting, we know that we say startup capital. That startup capital must be put in the bank, just to keep your records keeping straight and right. Put that money in the bank before you start using the money in the bank to buy all the things that you need to buy. So you are starting your business with 1,000 cedis. I'll advise that you put 1,000 cedis in the bank. And then when you have bought your input and everything and start selling, whatever comes in the name of sales, take it back to the bank. When that happens and you are very consistent with your records keeping, whoever is helping you and you're paying them a salary, pay them through the bank as well. Now it is easy to do a standing order of the salaries of the 2 or 3 people you employ, so that it goes into their account as well, so that you don't pay them over the table. In much the same way as you're paying them, you as an entrepreneur must pay yourself. And that money should go into your personal account, which is separate from that of the business account. So that when you have to do your own personal spendings, you do not take money from the sales, or you do not take money from the business account. Immediately you start mixing them. That is where the issue comes up. So after you have paid yourself into your personal account from the business account as your salary, then your salary that went into your personal account is the money that you are supposed to do these calculations on. And most entrepreneurs, because we do not have anybody to account to, think it is a lot of work going to go do some of these things elsewhere. But it is important right from the word go, right from the first sales, right from the first purchase, to keep record of everything that has gone into your business. And then when the businesses grow into a year, 2 years, 3 years, then you do not have the issue of inappropriate records, and then you don't know where this money went to or that money went to. And when you start that with your workers, they know that for this company, whatever comes in the name of sales will have to go to the bank. If they have to go to, and most banks do cash pickups these days. And it doesn't matter how much the money is. You might be closer to another big customer, so they can just pass through and pick your cash as well. So you should let everybody in your company know this. At 2 o'clock or at 3 o'clock or at 10 a.m., the bank will come for the money. In such a situation, you actually also save yourself from money being stolen from your organization. And even if the unfortunate thing happened and the staff steals money, they can only steal a day's sales. Now you have alerts. So even if you are not present at the workplace, when the money hits your bank account, you get an alert and you know how much has gone to the bank. And if it doesn't go after the time that you have set for the money to go, then you can quickly call in and then check on why the money hasn't gone. Then you will be able to manage your finances and also manage your business finances. When you have money, which you say is your salary, it is difficult now to finish spending it and start spending the business money. But when you mix your personal money with that of the business money, that is when you are not able to decipher which one is personal expenses and which is business expenses. And that ties in with the fact that it is never advisable to take a loan to start a business. It is always advisable, if you need a loan, it should be a loan to expand your business, but not to start it. You haven't gotten your footing right and you want to run, you fall. Especially in a part of the world where interest rates are to the roofs. It is better to start your business, go through the rough patches and tie them up, tie the loose ends, put things in proper perspective. And then and only then should you ask external help, especially from banks, to expand your business. The issue of marriage and finances. Like I said, everybody in my circle must know what financial management is. To get married and expect that your wife's money is going to be added to your money is a no-no from the word go. What makes you a man is the fact that you are the head of the house and you cater for the house. That is what makes you a man. If your woman is generous enough to support you, it doesn't become her responsibility. It is just out of her compassion that she's helping the house. But almost all the men are my age or my father's age know that whatever they give out as chop money doesn't go anywhere to put the food on the table. The women in one way or the other support. But as a man, your first responsibility is to give the chop money, no matter how little it is, no matter how rich your wife is, no matter how prosperous her family is. Your responsibility is to cut your coat according to your cloth and make sure that you're consistent with your housekeeping money. So yes, depending on the type of wife you have and depending on your own knowledge on how to manage your finances, a wife can actually be a blessing. If you teach her how difficult it is to earn the money, she will be careful and cautious when she's spending the money. I hope I answered. And this is to Gabby and to all of us. Hello, Gabby.
Yeah. So thank you very much. I like the wife part. It's good.
Thank you. And Brother Yusuf and Brother Abdulaziz and Brother Suraj. I think people are putting up their email
Yes.
addresses. Okay, so that when we are done, I'll try and send the slides to you and then we can share.
That's fine. But okay. I saw Dr. Sharif's hand up, but it seems he's left. So any more questions? Do you have any question for our speaker? Oh. Okay. Seems there's no question. Okay, then I'll ask mine and probably it will be the last. Hajia, please, is it possible, maybe probably to take long, but in brief, if you can let us understand the difference between being financially prudent and financially literate.
Master, why you want to do me WAEC this afternoon?
I just ask that question because sometimes I feel people can be financially literate, but they are not prudent in their spending.
Yes. I'm just okay. So, like I said, the people that should have known and be able to manage their finances better are accountants and bankers and all those professionals in the money business, right? So most of them are literate when it comes to finances. But when it comes to being financially prudent, it takes a willpower. It takes a personal willpower to be financially prudent. And I'll go by this. The fact that I know that I need to save money so that I can secure my own future does not translate automatically into a savings account. So I might know it, I might acquire it, but I might not apply it. The application is as important as the knowledge. The fact that I am still worried about how people perceive me when I dress and come out does not make me financially prudent. The fact that I am worried that all my friends are driving a car and I'm still taking trotro does not make me financially prudent, even though I might be literate. So to be financially prudent, you must also, this is an internal willpower, and you must also understand that it has to do with me and me as an individual. The fact that we do the same work and do the same and get the same pay does not mean that our circumstances are the same. I might come from a home where I have rich parents who do not need a penny from me. And so if I earn 1,000 cedis, all the 1,000 cedis is for me, and I have the right to do whatever I like with it. And that is against another brother or sister whose parents are not so much well-to-do, and it is obligatory on them to cater for the parents and even cater for younger siblings. And so if the person who comes from a wealthy family and doesn't have to do any of these things is able to buy that suit from Woolworth every month, it doesn't put me in the same category to also get up and get to Woolworth every month. I might be able to go the same level with him. After all, dressing is covering your nakedness. And I would be able to get my same thing at Cantonment. I don't care if I go out with him and he knows that I bought mine from Cantonment and he bought his from Woolworth. That is where the prudency comes in. So yes, there is a huge difference between knowing what to do and actually doing it. And actually minding just your business and ensuring that you are in a you are comfortable in your skin as a person. When I spoke about the fact that you need to have 3 separate accounts or 1 account or 2 accounts or no account at all, you might have heard us talk about this thing now. But if you don't go put it into action, you will still live as you lived in 2021. And nothing would have changed. And trust you me, by the time this month and everything we heard here is gone and gone for good. And we will need to go back and relearn what we have spoken about today. So yes, the difference is that you can be financially literate, very literate, like the accountant, like the banker, but you might not be prudent.
Thank you very much. Perfectly answered.
Thank you.
Hello, I have another question. Please, can I ask?
Okay.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes. I'm still more on trying to put some money aside for yourself. We are being advised that normally when you put money in a bank, okay, because you've not really invested it in any form of business, when there's inflation, the money more or less depreciates in value. Yeah. So you have to look for more like viable investments to put your money in so that it can grow. I believe this is quite challenging, especially for the average Muslim, because the average Muslim will have to balance doing this with the fact that they might be risking committing riba. So I want to find out what you think the best advice would be for we the young Muslims, and how can we more or less, or how do we find viable investment opportunities and try to more or less risk or not fall into the risk of riba? Because we have these treasury bills, we have stocks, we have bonds and all that, but it looks like a lot of questions are being raised regarding using them. I don't know if you have any opinion concerning them and what advice you give with the young Muslims. Thank you. All right.
Okay, so I will not pretend to be a Muslim scholar. I won't. But to
okay,
the little that I can say, your main aim of putting aside the money, the first aim of putting aside the money is not to make interest. Is to put money aside for future happenings. So your primary goal is not the interest. Your primary goal is to have something set aside to cater for future emergencies. I know that it is difficult, especially when you live in Ghana, to live an interest-free life. I mean, let's not pretend about this. If you work in a formal sector, whether you like it or not, you will need to provide a bank account and you will need to put the money in a bank. The bank, right from the word go, is non-Islamic. But you don't have the muscles as it is now to have your own bank. I know that some scholars are doing all that they can to make sure that we have an Islamic bank. But until then, we can also keep the monies at home with all the risk associated with them. So yes, we'll put them in the bank account. The primary aim is not to earn interest on them. And again, there is a vast difference between investments and savings. The first thing you need to do to invest properly is to save regularly. So your first objective is to have the money sitting in a savings account. When you finish saving, then you can now think about investment. Of course, you cannot be buying shares every day or every month as your salary comes. And that's the more reason you need to amass the money or accumulate the money somewhere in your savings account to be able to garner enough and then go into the investment. If you notice in my presentation, what I said was that you will save. When you save, and there should be money making for you even as you sleep. I mentioned the issue of a bakery. Bakery is halal business. You can invest in the bakery, but you can't save in the bakery. So after you have done your savings, then now you can move the money to partner with somebody who is doing a halal job and invest in their company, or partner with them to invest in their good business that they're doing. That is one part. On the stock exchange, there are companies that are halal. If my memory will serve me right, I know that investing in fan milk will be halal. But if we had to go down the Islamic things, there will still be some haram somewhere. But farm milk as against cow bank or farm milk as against EcoBank, I would prefer to go for farm milk because I know that they are not in the business of making money through interest, through riba. Or some other, I think there is a Starwin or Pioneer Aluminium or something like that. You know that their primary objective, production and everything, is halal. But again, these are companies that are also based, all their finances are based on haram somehow, because they have to take loans from the banks to be able to do the production, to be able to make the profits, which they give you dividends on. So first, accumulate the income in savings. And when you have an ample amount, now look for partnerships and do investments. You don't have a choice when it comes to banking, but you have a choice when it comes to investments. So in as much as possible, where you have a choice, try to make it as halal as possible.
All right. Thank you so much. I think it's excellent answer. Thank you so much. Very grateful.
You're welcome. I'm here.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. But I just want to ask a question. Gabby is coming back. I believe
I wanted
to okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question in relation to what someone said. Normally, when it comes to the family, in my experience, I had an experience where I'm spending so much of my money, like by the end of the month, there's nothing left. Okay, and so then I wasn't even happy because I was like, I'm working hard, but because of other expenses, not only the family, but other expenses, eventually I don't even have nothing to save or nothing. So I got to a point that I even wanted to cut those things out. Like, how will you advise somebody in such a context?
Brother Aziz, thank you. I think all of us find ourselves in that situation. All of us find ourselves in that situation. And I want to believe that for most of us that are here, we are ethical enough that even when we don't have the money, stealing is something we do not want to indulge in. And so if you find yourself in such a situation, that is why it is very important, very, very important that you put your finances on pen and paper. As for the demands, they will come. Trust you me. For as long as you do not go begging people for money, they think that you have enough and they will come to you for them. I mean, this is a natural course of life. So it is very, very important that you take care of yourself. And if you bear with me, you realize that when you are in need and you turn around and look around all the people you've been helping, there is sometimes nobody who can help you back. The more reason you need to be financially stable to be able to sort yourself out and not give your dignity out at the price of a penny. And so after you have done the money that you put aside for sadaqah or zakah or something, you have given it out, try as much as possible to keep money for yourself. Like I said, if for nothing at all, try to save before you spend. Because whatever money that is in your hands, maybe you are earning 5,000 right now, your expenses will cover the 5,000, if not more. In much the same way, put yourself in a situation, even though you are earning 5,000, put yourself in a situation as if you are earning 3,000, because you know people who are earning less than you and are still surviving. So the caveat is to put yourself below how much you are earning. So I come back again, you are earning 5,000. you are putting 2,000 in an investment for yourself and then manage the 3,000. Let me give it again to 1,000. You are earning 1,000. Try as much as possible not to spend more than 600. The difference between 600 and 1,000 might seem so much, but it's nothing. It won't change much. The only thing it will change is that if you were eating from the restaurant every day when you go to work in the afternoon, you can add Kofi Brookman or fasting 2 or 3 days within it, and you will still survive and nobody would even notice anything has changed. But it is important that if you work, especially if you work and you are earning a regular income, nobody sees you as a needy person again. And that is when you need to be on your own. You need to be on your foot to be able to surmount the things that come up. If you are earning 1,000 cedis and your company is so generous enough to increase it to 1,500, trust me, like I said, it will not move you from Medina to Trasaco. But if you are earning 1,000 cedis and you're able to keep that 300 cedis in savings every month, and you're so comfortable with spending your 600 cedis, now when they give you the 1,500, you can easily just increase the 600 cedis by 200 or 300. And your life will not significantly change or significantly reduce. The quality of the life you lead will not significantly reduce. The people who come to you every day for something, and because of which you want to stop, you can't stop it, but you can only do that much. And you can take a cue from anybody who has been in politics before. If the person is an MP, their house is always full. Immediately they are voted out, everybody deserts them to the new person. And it is in the same situation as yours. When I used to work at the bank, I had so much, I had 18 standing orders for people I needed to give monies to every single month. When I left the bank and I wasn't working again, the people are still living their lives. I don't have the standing orders because I don't have that kind of money again. And the people have moved on to other people that can help them. But this is me. Who do I go to now to go and ask for money? Brother Abdulaziz.
Hello, I'm here. I'm the one who has a question. I'm here.
Yeah, Gabby, I hope I have answered you. So whatever it is, take care of yourself first. Have your grounding. Okay. Be at a position where your footing is strong. And then before you start helping other people. After all, you can only give what you have. I hope I'm clear.
Yes, please. Thank you very much. It's
okay. All right, boss. Thank you. Any more, please? Okay, so am I done? Hello,
MashaAllah. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay. I think we have exhausted almost all the questions, and the participants are equally excited about the answers, and we are very grateful. So if Brother Siraj is around, probably he's our president, we can take some closing comments on him before we say the closing prayer, inshallah. Brother Siraj. Brother Siraj, okay, Brother Siraj is not around. I just want to take the opportunity to thank Hajia Amina for the very important knowledge that you have shared with us. It's very key. I think listening to the presentation, one thing that really stands out has to do with for you to have a budget, then also plan and ensure that you save before you spend, which is very, very important. Then he also talked about this element that I think it has lost us, especially in our dealings, the issue of sadaqah and zakat. I'm really excited that she added that one. And she even said that we should move that component of expenditure from our income before we even start spending any other thing. And that shows the Islamic touch that she has added to the presentation. It's very, very important that you move that component of sadaqah from your money when it comes at the end of the month before you start spending. So the first one is sadaqah, the second one is your savings. Then you can then look at how you are going to distribute the rest. The slides will be shared by Hajia to us. So Brother Sarah shared our email address in the chat box. So if you are interested in the slide and you are not on any of our WhatsApp pages, kindly send us an email requesting for the slides and we'll reply you with the slides, inshallah. So we thank Hajia Amina for the wonderful presentation. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from us. May Allah bless her and her family. May Allah bless the knowledge that she has shared with us. May Allah make it easy for all of us. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع الدعاء. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Okay, I think, but Aziz, if you have some announcements also, I think you have some announcements on our next lecture, you can just give to us, right? We are planning the next. Yes, so give us some announcement then.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. So on behalf of the Executive Council of AN-NUR, we want to thank Hajia and then all participants. And inshallah, we are looking forward for our next lecture, which is on land investments, how to acquire a secure land. And we are looking forward to bringing one of our real estate investment experts to deliver that topic. So please look forward for that lecture, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, and thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.